In the heart of an ancient monastery, a single flame flickers. It dances in the cold, still air. Its golden light stretches across heavy stone walls, revealing the silent figures of monks. Their voices rise and fall in a timeless chant, a river of sound that has flowed through these halls for 1,000 years. It is a prayer that has no beginning and no end. It is a testament to faith, to the belief that something greater is listening in the quiet dark. This is where we find the stories of heroes, not the heroes of battlefields with swords and shields, but the quiet heroes of the soul, the ones who fought their wars on their knees. Their names are often lost to time, whispered only in the hushed reverence of places like this. Their monuments are not made of marble, but of the lives they touched, of the hope they ignited in a world that had grown dim. We look for greatness in crowns and in conquest, but sometimes true greatness is found in humility. It is found in the simple, profound act of listening to the divine. This is the story of one such man, a man who wore the weight of the world on his shoulders, yet never forgot the simple power of a prayer whispered in the dark. He was known to the world as Pope Urban V. But before the titles, before the papal tiara, he was simply a man named Guillaume de Grimoard, a man who believed that the true work of God was not done from a throne, but from a posture of service. His life asks us a fundamental question. Can a person lead millions while remaining a humble servant? Can they hold the highest office on earth and still see themselves as the lowest of God's children? His journey from the silent halls of a monastery to the seat of St. Peter is a testament to this very idea. We begin our journey here in the echo of that sacred chant. We feel the warmth of that single candle against the cold stone. It is a light of contemplation, of deep and abiding peace. This is the light that guided Guillaume. It was a light he carried within him, a flame he nurtured through a life of devotion. It would one day shine from the highest window in Christendom, a beacon for a world in need of warmth, in need of hope, and in need of a leader who prayed more than he ruled. Let us follow that light and discover the story of Saint Urban V. Long before the world knew his name, he was a boy in the rugged lands of Grizac, France. Born in 1310, Guillaume de Grimoard entered a world of deep faith and quiet hardship. His family was noble, but their wealth was not in gold or land. It was in their spirit. They taught him that honor came not from a title, but from a life well lived in the eyes of God. From his earliest days, the boy was drawn to the silence of the church, to the stories of the saints. He saw a world beyond the fields and forests of his home, a world of the spirit. He was not a child who dreamed of power or prestige, he dreamed of God. While other boys might have played at being knights, Guillaume found his peace in the local priory. The scent of old incense, the cool touch of the stone font, the sound of the Benedictine monks at their prayers, these were the things that called to his soul. He felt a pull, a gentle but insistent calling. It was a whisper that told him his life was meant for something more. Not for the world of men and their ambitions, but for the quiet, dedicated world of contemplation and service. His parents saw this devotion, they nurtured it, they understood that their son's heart belonged to a different kind of kingdom. So they sent him to the Benedictines to live and study among the men he so admired. It was there, within the monastery walls, that Guillaume truly came alive. He embraced the rule of Saint Benedict, a life of prayer and work, ora et labora. He learned that holiness was found in the smallest of tasks, in sweeping a floor, in copying a manuscript, in chanting the Psalms at dawn. Every act could be a prayer. This was the foundation of the man he would become. Humility was his armor, Prayer was his sword. He did not seek to climb the ladder of the church. He sought only to descend deeper into the mystery of God. He became a brilliant scholar, a master of canon law, but his knowledge never overshadowed his humility. He saw learning not as a tool for advancement, but as a way to better understand the divine will. He was a simple monk at heart, content with his books, his prayers, and the silent presence of God in his small cell. But destiny, it seems, had other plans. The year is 1362. The papacy is not in Rome, but in Avignon, France. Pope Innocent VI has died, and the cardinals are gathered to choose his successor. They are divided, locked in disagreement. Days turn into weeks. The church waits, holding its breath. The cardinals look for a man of power, a man of political skill, a man who can navigate the treacherous currents of European politics. But every candidate they propose is met with opposition. The path forward is blocked. In their desperation, they begin to look beyond their own ranks. For a man of unimpeachable character, their gaze falls upon a humble Benedictine abbot, a man far from the political fray, serving as a papal legate in Naples. His name is Guillaume de Grimoard. He is known for his holiness, his scholarship, and his profound lack of ambition. He is a man who has never sought power, and that is precisely why they choose him. The news travels to him like a thunderclap. He is to be the next pope, the vicar of Christ, the successor to Saint Peter. For any other man, it would be the ultimate triumph. For Guillaume, it is a terror. He weeps when he hears the news. He protests. He insists they have made a mistake. How can he, a simple monk who desires only the quiet of the cloister, lead the entire Christian world? He feels the crushing weight of the office, the impossibilities of the task. He is a man of prayer, not of politics, a scholar, not a king. He sees the gold and the ceremony not as a glory, but as a cage that will separate him from the simple devotion he has known his entire life. His reluctance is not false modesty. It is a genuine, soul-deep fear of leaving the world he loves for one he does not understand. But the call of the church is, for him, the call of God, and he has spent his entire life learning to obey that call, no matter the cost. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he accepts. He chooses the name Urban, a name that means of the city, perhaps as a reminder that he must now leave his solitude for the world. He walks toward his new life not with the stride of a conqueror, but with the hesitant steps of a servant called to a task he feels is far beyond him. He places his trust not in his own strength, but in the God who has called him. As Pope Urban V, Guillaume de Grimoard did not change. The office changed around him. He refused to abandon the simple black habit of his Benedictine order, wearing it even beneath the rich papal vestments. It was a constant, visible reminder to himself and to the world of who he was. A monk, a servant first and foremost. The lavish papal court in Avignon was a place of excess and luxury. He began to dismantle it, piece by piece. He lived as simply as he had in the monastery, eating plain food and sleeping on a hard bed. His personal expenses were almost nothing. The money he saved, he gave to the poor. His days were governed not by the schedules of princes, but by the rhythm of prayer. Long before the sun rose, he would be on his knees in his private chapel. The papal tiara, the triregnum, was a crown of immense power, but for Urban the true crown was one of thorns, a reminder of Christ's sacrifice. He carried the keys of St. Peter, symbols of his authority to bind and to loose. Yet, he seemed more focused on unlocking the doors of knowledge and compassion. He founded universities and supported students, believing that a well-formed mind was essential for a well-formed soul. He saw education as a pathway to God. He was a reformer, not with fire and brimstone, but with a gentle and persistent hand. He fought against the abuses that had crept into the church. He demanded that bishops and priests live in their dioceses, serving the people entrusted to their care, rather than living as courtiers in Avignon. He appointed men of virtue and learning, not men of wealth and connection. His rule was a quiet revolution of holiness. He did not shout his decrees from the rooftops, he lived them. His own life was his most powerful sermon, a silent testament to the gospel values of poverty, humility, and service. The people saw this. They felt it. In an age of cynical and worldly churchmen, they saw in Urban V a true father, a shepherd who smelled like his sheep. He would often walk among the poor, listening to their troubles, offering them what little he had. He personally oversaw the distribution of food and aid to thousands. He was not a distant ruler, but a present and loving guide. The warmth of his spirit, the one he had nurtured in the monastery, now radiated out to the entire church. He was proving that the greatest strength of a leader is not power, but love. For decades, the popes had been absent from Rome. The eternal city, the heart of Christendom, the burial place of the apostles Peter and Paul, was in a state of decay. Its great churches were crumbling, its people were abandoned. Pope Urban V felt this absence as a deep spiritual wound. He knew with a certainty that came from his deepest prayers that the Pope belonged in Rome. It was not a matter of politics, but of faith. The shepherd had to return to the heart of his flock. His advisors in Avignon were horrified. They warned him of the dangers, the political chaos, the physical ruin of the city. But Urban's decision was made. He was guided by an inner compass, one that pointed not to safety, but to sanctity. In 1367, he set sail for Italy. The journey was a pilgrimage. When he finally entered Rome, the people greeted him as a savior. They poured into the streets, weeping with joy. The father had returned home. For the first time in over 60 years, the successor of St. Peter stood at the apostles' tomb. It was a moment of profound and symbolic power. The light of the papacy was once again shining from its ancient source. He immediately set to work. He began restoring the great basilicas of Rome. St. Peter's, the Lateran. He poured resources not into palaces for himself, but into the houses of God. He brought back a sense of order and hope to a city that had lost both. He walked the streets, prayed in the ancient churches, and connected with the deep, sacred history of the place. He was not just rebuilding stone and mortar, he was rebuilding faith. He was reminding the world that the church was founded on the rock of the apostles, and to that rock it must always return. Yet the world's turmoil did not cease. War and political strife continued to pull at him, forcing him back to Avignon after only a few years. It was a decision that broke his heart. He left Rome knowing he would likely never see it again. He had planted a seed, a hope for renewal, but he would not live to see it blossom. As he lay dying in Avignon in 1370, he asked to be moved from the papal palace to the humble home of his brother. He died as he had lived, not as a prince of the church, but as a simple man of God, surrounded by prayer. Now, fast forward through the centuries, the world has changed. The great cathedrals of Urban's time now stand beside skyscrapers of glass and steel. The chants of monks are often drowned out by the noise of the city, but the human heart remains the same. It still searches, it still hopes, it still feels the weight of its own struggles. And in the quiet corners of the world, in the hushed stillness of a modern church, the story of the humble Pope continues to echo. It is a whisper of hope for those who feel overwhelmed. Imagine a person today, sitting in a pew. The world outside is loud with demands, with anxieties, with the relentless pace of modern life. They feel small. They feel powerless. Their challenges seem too great to overcome. A difficult decision at work, a family in crisis, a feeling of spiritual emptiness. They look at the altar, at the flickering sanctuary lamp, and they feel a deep need for help, for guidance, for intercession. They remember a story they once heard, the story of a pope who was afraid, who felt unworthy, but who placed all his trust in God. They remember the name Saint Urban V. He is the patron of those who feel overwhelmed by their duties, the patron of those called to a task they feel is too big for them. This person, in the quiet of the church, closes their eyes. They begin to pray, not with fancy words, but with the simple, honest language of the heart. They don't need a grand cathedral or a formal ritual. They only need a moment of stillness, a moment of sincere and humble trust. This is the bridge across time, the connection between a soul in need today and a saint who walked this earth centuries ago. How does one ask for a saint's help? It is not a magic formula. It is a conversation, a request from one member of God's family to another. You simply speak to him. Saint Urban V, the whisper begins. You knew the fear of a great calling. You felt the weight of a burden you did not ask for. You found your strength not in yourself, but in prayer. Please pray for me now. Help me to find the humility to serve, the courage to act, and the faith to trust that God is with me just as he was with you. Lend me your peace. As the quiet request rises, something shifts. The air in the church seems to grow warmer, more still. This is the moment of intercession. It is a mystery of faith, a belief that those who are with God in heaven do not forget us. They join their prayers to ours. In this sacred silence, you can almost feel a gentle presence, a sense of peace that is not your own. It is the assurance that you are not alone in your struggle. A great cloud of witnesses surrounds you, and among them is the humble monk who became Pope. Imagine him now, not as a figure in a history book, but as a living soul in the glory of heaven. See him, not in the heavy papal tiara, but in his simple Benedictine habit. The lines of worry are gone from his face. He is bathed in a light that is softer and more brilliant than any earthly sun. It is the light of God's own presence. He is at peace. The peace he sought his entire life in the monastery, he now possesses in its fullness. And from that place of perfect peace, he hears the prayers that rise from earth. He turns his gaze toward you. There is no judgment in his eyes, only a deep, compassionate understanding. He too was afraid. He too felt small. He takes your whispered prayer and adds his own to it, presenting it before the throne of God. This is the power of intercession. It is the eternal prayer of the saints, a river of grace flowing from heaven to earth. It is the promise that our small, trembling voices are joined by a chorus of holy and powerful ones. Your burden is shared, your hope is amplified. Trust in this, trust that your prayer has been heard. Saint Urban V's life teaches us that God chooses the humble to do great things, and his sainthood teaches us that the conversation does not end with death. It continues forever. The same faith that led him from a monastery cell to the heart of Rome is the same faith that can lead you through your darkest hour. The candle he lit so long ago has not been extinguished. Its flame still flickers, a timeless beacon of hope, reminding us of the simple, unshakable power of prayer. May his intercession bring you peace, and may you always remember that in the kingdom of God, the most powerful are those who serve. Amen.